Hello and welcome to, well, Carlin's Worlds. Yeah, that should work. I'm a wanderer, a tinkerer, sometimes a nomad, a military veteran. I do things differently. There will be tinkering. I have a motorcycle, a truck, and a school bus. I live off-grid, so there will be some solar, batteries, inverters, and maybe even some wind. It blows. And that's all I can fit into about 30 seconds. Oh, and please, if you like any of this, it would be really awesome if you could subscribe and click that notify bell. Drop a comment if you have any questions or ideas. Share, like, comment, subscribe, notify. Oh, and Patreon if you're really an awesome kind of person. Cool. On with the show already. Alright, we got a plan. Well, no, not really. We've got a large assortment of leftover parts. Ranging from 1/2 inch to, I think that's 1/2 inch, all the way up to 2 inch. All kinds of stuff here. Some of these are glue fittings, some of these are threaded or glue 2-threaded, and whatnot. I've got 300 feet of black flexible plastic pipe. These are 1-inch pipes. So each coil is 100 feet. That's a whole system right there. 2-inch PVC adapts down to a threaded male pipe thread, MPT, to a 1-inch barb fitting. This will match that 1-inch black pipe I've got. Okay. Sump pump. I built this a while ago. It comes up 2-inch. To a threaded, to currently it's got the quick disconnect 2-inch cam lock. That's matching what's on the water tanks. This is the west end of the bus. Sunrise is usually there when it's not a cloudy day. So by noon or so, this whole side will be in the sun. Alright. Drop the sump pump into that, pump water up and out through a series of adapters, come out to 1-inch pipe, 3 separate coils of 100 feet each. I'm going to just lay them out here on the ground for now. They'll get hot in the sun and then come back into the trash can. Between 4 and 6 months of the year, I don't really need to heat the water. So I'm kind of just testing this for now. A couple days ago, I ran the generator for about 20 minutes, took a shower. It was really nice. So what I'm hoping for is next month or so to take solar heated showers and then go from there. The other part of this, we're going to be looking at scaling. Can I use black pipes to heat a reservoir of water that I can then store to, for instance, heat the bus in the night from water heated during the day? Okay. Now, once we get into May, so next month, we really don't need that. Since it only gets down to about 20 degrees Fahrenheit here in the winter, if I can raise it up to 40 degrees in the winter, that's good enough. So maybe I don't need propane heat after that. So that's kind of where we're going. Okay, one of the things I made this setup for was for draining my water tank in the truck. I can drain it out the bottom valve by gravity. That's what I did last night, actually. It does work pretty well. But I can also drop the whole pump down through the filler top on the top. And I actually had to notch this just a little bit to get it to fit. Got it. But I made this a lot bigger than it really needs to be. So I'm going to make a couple marks here. Alright, let's see how it looks in here. Good. Okay, this is that mark will work on both of them. Good to go. Okay. You don't need power tools, but since that's what I got, you know. So I'll find the line, try to square it up. repurpose most of that later. This was one of those things where nothing was quite as easy as it should have been, right? This pump from Amazon, talked about it before, set up, I think it's a 1 1/4 inch fitting, so I had to find, yeah, 1 1/4, how about that? Everything big that I have is 2 inch. The tanks are set up for 2 inch, the water manifold that I am building onto 2 inch. So I had to find a 1 1/4 to 2 inch bushing, and that ended up being, I think it's called spigot, I forget, I always get those confused. So I had to splice it to a pipe, had lots of pipe, and then set it up for the other connectors. So, you know, it's always a kludge of what you want versus what's available kind of a thing. I'm going to do the same kind of a setup here. Might as well. Because I need to be able to put this back on, so that means I need the elbow to a threaded piece. Alright. Dig around a little bit. Every single time I do something with this plumbing, I always buy more of the primer and the cement. And I usually buy extra fittings because. Okay. So, kind of wipe it off. The purple is the primer. It's kind of, sounds like it's got something in it even. I don't know how many times I've gone to do something and you'll realize that you are in fact out of one of the key ingredients because it's either dried up or evaporated or leaked or whatever. I'm sure there's YouTube videos that describe this process, so I'm not going to bore you with the details. Just know that you do have to do this, otherwise it just doesn't work the same. I've heard of houses getting inspected. If the inspector couldn't see primer, he would fail you because he figured he didn't do it right. So I think they purposely made it bright in color so it would be obvious that you had in fact done it, kind of a thing. Alright. And if you take the time to read the instructions, they talk about priming one, priming the other, going back, priming one, and then the second step is the cement. That sounds good. You do it in the opposite order for some reason. Don't honestly know why. Doesn't really matter. And you can see this has picked up some of the purple from the last time. So several of my pair of pants have got this purple goo on them from being slubs. So. Okay. And of course, if you were smart, you would dry fit that first just to be sure. Forgot to do that. Good. And if you notice when I let go, it actually tried to push itself off. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but it always does it. And then it sets up fairly quickly. That one's a little bit soft still, so now we'll just let that set up. That part is done. Now, next time when I'm using this with the pump, I'll just thread this piece off and put it on there. Okay. And we'll be right back in business. And the neat thing about this will get used somewhere. You always save your scraps because, you know, you've already wasted them. They're glued. You can't take them off. But odds are I'll find a piece this will be perfect for. So I don't feel bad about that. So I'm going to leave the quick disconnect on the pump. That way I can use this for both offloading water from the truck and this. So I can just, you know, take it back and forth. And I've got the opposite end of that. I couldn't remember if I had a spare of these. These are kind of expensive, so you don't buy a whole bunch of them. So a female end, male end. And these will just slip on, pull the handle down, and it locks. I think about 25 feet of it. dry fit it, see how we did. Somewhere in that neighborhood. Yeah, I can live with that. Cool. These are all glued together. I'm not going to connect the two until I get it ready. It's easier to move it if it's not connected. All right. Coming out, what I've realized, it always seems like this in the hardware store. You know you got stuff at home, so you don't buy as much as you think, or you buy too much of the wrong thing. Always. All right. So the blue fittings are what the black hose is going to connect to. All right. I got 10 of those. I've got 4 sets of that. Should have got at least 6 if you got 300 feet of pipe, since there's 3 100-footers. I had an idea in my mind, and I don't think I didn't think it all the way through, I guess. Anyway. I was trying to picture bending this smoothly to go back into the barrel, and I think that might be good enough. I'm working shade for now, but if I just, because I can attach it to the little camper shed here, make a loop, it'll be fine. And then I'll clamp it in place for now. That'll work. Already right on the edge of sunlight now. So this whole rig is going to be sitting in the sun all afternoon. So the trash can is black, it'll be getting hot. I got too much stuff in the way. Yeah, this was kind of a kludge, but that's what we came up with, was going through what was available that day. This was the starting point. I know I needed this. That had to screw into something. I think that's a spigot end because it goes into one, another spigot, it goes into one. And then we got the T-fitting, which is 2-inch, which matches all the pipe. Later version will probably have some valves. I'm using the table to keep these kind of roughly oriented the same way. Also, my hands are purple now. There. Cool. Glue the last one on and we're done. They're all in a gaggle right now, so I'm going to pick off one at a time and then coil it close by. I've been trying very hard to keep these protective blue caps on. I see one fell off somewhere. Now I got dirt in the line. there's always going to be some dirt in something like this anyway, so try to deal with your crushing disappointment, right? So first thing, this was a monumental day. I remember nothing that I wanted at the hardware store could I find. Quite often the problem is because I'm doing things that you shouldn't be doing. So my aisle, there isn't one, right? So I finally got mad and just bought, you know, bag after bag of hose clamps in various sizes. So start with that, see if these are the right size. It'll be the right size if it fits, basically. Look at that. Okay, now it's a good day because I've got 10 of the same size. And I've said this before, but if you missed it, if you see these screwdrivers, buy one. They're the handiest thing. So what it is, the whole center comes out. One end you've got a small Phillips, I don't know if they labeled this one, it looks like a P1, and a small straight. This hex is a different size than this side. So this is a P2 and a bigger straight, okay? So the whole thing, you just throw it in the dirt, that makes it look better. Fits into the handle, okay? Now when you're doing hose clamps, quite often, but not always, one of these hexes will match your hose clamp. Now you've got a nut driver instead of screwing around trying to use a screwdriver. Okay, so put that in your Ziploc bag so you don't lose it. That's the next tip. Buy Ziploc bags in different sizes. They are indispensable out here, especially in the dirt. Otherwise, you will drop things in the dirt and lose them. So, the one I screw up personally all the time, put the hose clamp on first and then get the hose on there. Now these are warm enough now, and with a little bit of wiggling it does go on. So that's all the way on, that's good. This might be one of the few things I've done that doesn't leak. Just jinx yourself right now. It's promising that the hose is warm. All this black soaking up the heat. Trying not to kink it too much. This is not really thick hose. It's not like Schedule 40 or anything like that. Better than garden hose. It's not even hose, I guess. It's pipe, tubing. Somebody would know the definition between the two. I try very hard to have matching hardware. You would not believe how many times you run into a job where somebody's cleaned out the sock drawer and used every possible size. So you're constantly changing tools trying to match it. It's just annoying. Starting off, everything is connected. Oh, I've got caps on these still too. 3.5 inches, okay? So my water level is 3.5 inches from the top. Just write that down so I can remember it. And this is not going to be calibrated or scientific or anything. I just wanted a reference because I know this holds 35 gallons and it's nearly full. And what I can do after I've got water flowing so it's coming back out of these hoses, so I know the hoses are all three full, then I can, you know, if I wanted to, I could fill up a 5-gallon bucket and dump it in here and see how many times I have to do that to refill. So I do have sort of an idea, right? Okay, now that these are probably taking their shape a little bit, take the caps off of this end. And compared to last winter, this water feels not too bad already. It's just cold enough you wouldn't want to be in a shower, but it doesn't hurt. That's the difference between January and April, I guess. Pump is sitting down there. I'm going to loosen this up. This is the nicest thing about right now. This quick disconnect can move a little bit, and you clamp it back down, lets you get things straight. That's freaking awesome. You can hear it running. See the hose is moving. Got a small leak here. My trash can is about half empty now. Man, all three of them hit almost exactly the same time. That's a good sign. That means I don't have massive restriction in one. Okay, so now we know they're all full. I'm gonna let it pump for a little bit just to get all the air out of the lines. That is really a good looking flow. It's not sputtering. It's like it seems like the pump is pretty well matched to that. That's pretty cool. I'm 16 inches from the top now, so I've used up most of my water capacity. Yeah, it's fairly cold right now, which would make sense. Okay. Later on, I'll add a switch or maybe a timer. You know, we'll get fancy with that, but this is the basics of it. You know, the irony is this pump over here is what I would have used to move the water in the first place. Right? One, two, all right, this is number 5. Okay, that system was holding 15 gallons. Okay, now we know. 300 feet of 1-inch pipe plus 10 feet of 2-inch pipe plus... Okay, 300 feet of 1-inch pipe plus about 17 feet of 2-inch pipe is roughly 15 gallons, right? The important part, as far as the heater part of it, is the 300 feet of black. The white pipe isn't going to make much of a difference, all right? Just putting my hand on the pipe. Right after I filled them, I touched them and they felt cool. Now they feel warmer, so they're already warming up. Next time when I turn the pump on, it's going to start pushing and it should pretty much hold that same level. I'll keep an eye on that just to be sure I didn't screw something up there, but I did not check the time, so I can't say how fast this is, but I did notice the tubing felt warm. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in and just feel the water coming out, and then what I'm going to do, hold my hand under it until it feels cold again, and go from there. All right, so here we go. Power on. Yeah, almost immediately I got water, so it's not running anywhere. Really nowhere for it to go, but you know. Oh yeah, that's almost too hot for a shower right now. Now the water in the tank is much colder, but the level is holding about the same. Happy accident, the pump is pulling from the bottom where the cold water is, and the hot water will be at the top. So if it just keeps pulling the cold water from the bottom, okay, the water coming out of the hose is cooler. It's stabilizing, it's definitely warmer though. I get the leak to go back into the bucket, it's okay, right? We're done. I like the easy problems. The nice thing about this, it's vented, right? So I never have to worry about that overpressurizing. It'll just push the water into here and we're done. It might be possible to get a thermal siphon to work here, such that the heat would cause the water to slowly flow all by itself. That would be pretty clever. I think if I remember right, if the water reservoir is above the pipe, heat rises, so as the water gets hot, it will naturally go up. The cold water will go to replace it, so it might actually go by itself. That might be something to look at later. That'd be kind of clever, actually. All right, next is to make the cover. Somehow. Might take a lunch break first, though. I love finding a scrap that's close enough to the right size. This is left over from doing the window project. I measured the trash can, 24 inches is a little more than I need. This is 24 inches across, so let's just go with that. That'll leave me hopefully an even number later. Half cut it and break it off. So set yourself up on the mark. Approximately there. Done. Yeah, okay. I got a plan. Close enough. That should work. You know, for a prototype, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that. That feels so good. Oh, I'm giddy. The water coming out, because every time it goes through, the tank is getting a little bit warmer. The water coming out of the hose now, I don't think I'd be comfortable taking a shower out of it directly out of the hose, which is something to think about when I take my shower. I think what I'll do is I'll let this cycle for a couple minutes and then hook it up to the shower so that it's all the same temperature. Right, okay. Clean. Cleaner. Clean. It did work. Considering it was not heated, like with a water heater, it was very comfortable. It was not as warm as what was coming out of the hoses earlier because the clouds came in, and basically at that point there was no more heat hitting the hoses, and then the hoses started radiating heat back out again, so they were pretty close to ambient at that point. However, it was still warmer than water coming out of what would come out of my other tank, so that was good. Try to time your shower. This is what I used to do when I was first showering outside. I'd time it so that the air temperature started to drop, but the water still felt warm. And then you'd get it clean as quick as you could and then dry off really quick because the air was starting to get cold. So you tried to time it just before it felt too cold, kind of a thing. Because then the water felt warmer than the air. It was good. But yeah, this was the first day. This is, you know. Also, the tank really isn't insulated, and the first couple hours I was running the heat back into the tank, it didn't have a cover, and so I was losing temperature there. Temperature differential is the important thing. When water is warmer than the air, the heat will transfer from the water to the air. Okay, that's why, you know, everything eventually stabilizes at the same temperature. Now, I was able to get hotter water coming out of the black pipes than what was in the collection tank. So yeah, it did start to raise the temperature, but the more the differential is, the quicker it comes back, kind of a thing, is what it seems like, at least. So without insulation, you lose the temperature pretty quickly. Okay, but for the first day, man, I'm ecstatic, really. Because 2 days ago, I still ran the electric water heater with the generator. Now I don't have to do that anymore. This was sun shining on black pipe for hot water, and this was sun shining on solar panels to create the electricity to run the pump for the hot water. That's freaking awesome. It's ironic and hilarious that today, when I need solar heating, is when I have massive clouds, and I'm probably going to possibly get rain. It smells like rain out there. I think it's raining up valley already. You know, so what are the odds of that happening? You know, where I'm trying to heat up water and it's working, and I got it planned out that I'm thinking at 6 o'clock I'm going to stop what I'm doing, and then I look up and I'm like, oh, I've got 95% cloud cover. It's like that wasn't happening before. It's like, what are the odds? Yeah, right. Anyway, if you thought any of this was kind of useful or interesting or amusing or educational or distracting from your everyday life, go ahead and click the like button. That just encourages me. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. That does help me out. Still working on that magic 1,000, but we're getting close, and it's amazing. Some weeks it's just jumping, like a lot. So thanks. Welcome to the channel. Stay tuned. More neat stuff coming. This is called a Rubbermaid structural foam stock tank, 300 gallons capacity. Well, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, that should work. Cool. I do things differently. Oh, and please, if you like any of this, it would be really awesome if you could subscribe and click that notify bell. Drop a comment if you have any questions or ideas. Share, like, comment, subscribe, notify. Oh, and Patreon if you're really an awesome kind of person. Thank you so much for watching.